Okay, I'm very passionate about this, so I need to talk quickly about this. So I was talking to ChatGTP because I asked it, what is the opposite to source? Name 20 words. And one of these 20 words was limit. And I was thinking, oh, limit, but that's lime. You know, the lime is the limit also. That there are many words that connect and has to do with the same thing. Yes, indeed. You know, they are. It's not only a single. When I talk about lime, it's not only a single word, but it's many words that has to do with the same thing. That is lime. And so when ChatGPT responded about limit, I asked it what is the opposite of limit, and it said infinity. And so this directly made me see that that you know, either God is seen as a source or it's seen as the infinite. Okay, so what you're literally seeing on the screen right now is a marriage between the infinite and lime. Okay, lime. And funnily enough, one of the most common thing to interact with in mathematics is the natural number e. So it becomes lime, you know, Lime. So and it's funny because yeah, this natural number. Wait, it's not a natural number. Sorry, it is a what is it called? Irrational number, maybe even. Yeah, because it has no fractions. It cannot be divided into fractions. So what's funny here is that we see in mathematics, in the most common way to look at mathematics when it comes to calculus, a bit higher up in calculus, you know, you start with this advanced stuff, Liemann's to infinity, and you have a marriage directly here between lime and infinity. You have the limit and the infinity marrying together, and you analyze this. So God is a mathematician. He uses calculus, which is etymology calx, limestone. So first of all, you have God being a mathematician. Mathematician is married to calculus, and the calculus itself contains of internal marriages between infinity and Liemann's, where you have X, which is chalk. It's the alchemical symbol for chalk. So you have you directly see here when doing mathematics, you are reminded of this marriage, and you are reminded again and again and again about this, so that you will not miss it. And so this is the point of everything, I believe, is to discover this marriage and propagate it. And you see, there are marriages within marriages and things like that. And this is marriages of things. So and a fractalized marriage, you know, self-similarity, basically. So, and maybe a mathematician would say that, okay, it evaluates this, it solves the equation. Solve is back to solution and you know, fluids, you know, because a solution is not only a mathematical solution, it is a fluid. A solution is a fluid. And so we're back to the consistency, a consistency, something being consistent. But as I have mentioned, a consistency is thick. And we're back to cement and lime again, because something that is has a consistency is thick like cement. And so what I was trying to say was that once a mathematician has solved an equation, did it really solve it? Because what happens next? It is given a new equation, because you see, it continues with the next equation. The mathematician believes that that it solved the equation, but in reality, it is given the same, basically more or less the same thing, a new equation. It wasn't able to see the marriage of lime and infinity, and so it's given a new equation to solve. It's this getting a new thing of the same because you didn't see it. But again, the mathematician thinks that it solved it, it continues, and so on. But again, maybe this is the point of it, just to continue and see the same thing. I don't know. But but what I know is that this is consistency. What I'm saying here is a consistency, because this theory that I'm talking about, it is. So I'm perfectly aware that from a normal perspective of a normal person would consider what I say to be absurd. I know, but that's why I keep reminding you that no matter what perspective I look at, this again has it just continues to be true. I don't know how to explain it. So let's talk about bones, okay? Because I don't know if I can remember all of this, but I wrote it down. So when you, as I have been saying, lime is the common denominator of everything, basically. And what you do is that when you solve you find a common denominator of things. Okay, common denominator. And what you actually do is to analyze fractions. And what interests me is that a fracture are bones that are broken. Okay, broken bones is a fracture. And so bones again is lime. It's again the same thing. We're back to the same thing. So many of these, like too many of these mathematical concepts mirrors this fetish. Okay, this is a fetish. And I would say it's a fetish of God, basically. Like God has a fetish for the same thing. It's the one and the same thing. And it's the lime, it's the mud, the mud, everything create yeah. And yeah, it's fair. It's fair to call it a fetish, in my opinion. It's something that has stuck to the mind, also it has stuck to my mind, but but that's because it doesn't have to mean anything that it stuck to my mind, but it does. It's stuck to my mind. But as it's stuck to my mind, it's also stuck to mathematics. You see? And so, yeah, it is a fetish to my mind, but not only that, because you see, I have simply analyzed this world, and so me being in this world has made it my fetish also. But anyhow, So yeah, this marriage of things is not only about people. It's not about humans. Basically, it's greater than even living beings. It's in every little piece of this, and so that's what I'm looking into. First of all, as I saw this, I saw it relating to myself. I did, but then I started to see it in other things because I felt it was not meaningful otherwise. I don't know, but here it is again. So the main idea here is that most would agree that God is a mathematician. A mathematician is married to calculus, and calculus means calx, limestone. Then you have lemans, which is supposedly different concepts. Like, why would such a great idea in mathematics stick to the to a concept within mathematics, you see? And so somehow this manages to be both, it has a use case, you know. Somehow, first it was the name of it because it's the stone, but now suddenly it is a concept within mathematics of having a limit that meets an infinity, you know. It's weird, you see. It has like a multi-purpose, like the same thing has a multi-purpose, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. And it may seem scary, you know, but what the truth of all of this is that everything becomes very simple. Everything becomes simple. You see it, but there is a complexity inside the simple, also, as you can see. So, mathematician looks at the marriages of things because it solves the equations of Riemann, infinity. It looks at fractions. It looks at pi. You know, pi. Pi is the first letter of the Greek word for stone. Is the first letter in the Greek word for stone is pi, and so yeah, I mean, a simple thing becoming complex. A simple thing. How can it be like this? It's hard for even me to properly comprehend how it can be like this. But it is like this. I know that it is like this, but why? It's like it's magic, you know, and it's deep, you know. And I believe that if one is getting adjusted to this fact, you will be able to identify deeper relationships between things, and I believe that you're able to know things beforehand, you know, like somehow you come up with a complex analysis by doing a simple analysis, you see. So this is what I think is possible using this way of thinking, is that you think in a simple way, but somehow it is like advanced when you think a simple thought. And so I think this is where it goes. So and as I'm doing now is that I'm expecting to find things, but when I expect to find things, I wouldn't say that I'm biased. I would say, because if I were biased, I wouldn't have this much data that I have by now. I have so much data and so on. So, but yeah, so you can call this relationship between the infinite and the limited as a fetish. And you can see it in how, what is a life? A life is limited in volume, for example, but inside this limited volume is an infinite potential of growth in the form of children, for example. So a seed has limited volume, but somehow it contains something giant, something endless. So it's both limited and endless at the same time. And so therefore you see this marriage in the simple, as I see it, something having a limited volume is an expression of this, because inside this limited volume is something somewhat infinite, and so on. You get what I mean? So this is one perspective from when thinking about mathematics and trying to combine it with other things, which seems to be unrelated to mathematics, but I would say is not. So yeah, this kind of implication that I'm showing here is so hard to deny. It must be really hard to deny, and especially because most of people that believe in something godlike, okay, knows that it is infinite, and it knows that it's a mathematician, okay? It's one expression of it. Like God is a mathematician doing calculations, basically. So, and what does it do? Well, we get to see what it does. You believe that your human culture, creating this lemans here, is your human culture, but in reality it seems to be a direct correlation to the thoughts of God, how we created mathematics, okay? The language we use in mathematics, I would say that it's a direct correlation to what theoretical God would use. Like if you would look at the paper of God solving equations, what you would see is lim and x going to infinity. That's what you would see, because I believe that he or it literally writes down these marriages and enjoys them in the form of equations, for example, but also in all of reality and all of these words that are around us here. So yeah, that's what I think. And I have a lot of signs, like implications that anyone can see, right? So let's end this now. Bye bye.